Okay, well, there's a series of different solving equations looking at what we're looking at here. Okay, there's a couple ways of approaching this. I would say if you can get rid of your fractions, that you're in a good spot. One thing you may want to do is add the 1/3 or subtract 1/3 from both sides, but then you're dealing with having to deal with fractions, which is not a bad thing. But the common denominator here is 12. So if I multiply by 12 and this by 12 and this by 12, I can reduce. And then I'm looking at numbers that are a little easier to work with. For example, multiply this fraction by 12, 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I'll replace that fraction 1/3 with a 4 after multiplying by 12. This one wasn't a fraction, but I'll call that 12x. This one is a fraction, but the nice thing about that one is the 12s cancel, we're left with a 40. Now it's a much easier equation to solve. Subtract the 4 and divide by 12. Get 12x equals 36, so x equals 3. Okay, and something like this, you have to divide by -2 to begin with. And so you have 1 minus 3x squared equals +4. So if you take the square root of both sides, you start out with a 1 minus 3x, but it's equal to ±2. All right, so you've got to subtract the 1. And really at this point, you want to split it up into two different things. You'll have a -3x is equal to -1 plus or minus 2. And if you divide by -3, this is where you can split it up. -1 plus 2 is equal to 1 over -3, which is -1/3, or -1 minus 2, which is -3 over -3, which simplifies to be a +1. Here, square both sides and go from there. I'll leave you to your own devices there. Add 6 to both sides. X squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0. That'll factor, and you can solve. In this case here, I would subtract 1 to begin with. That's a 4. And then I would take and multiply both sides by 4. You multiply by 4 and you're rid of that radical. Over here you end up with a 16. So x minus 2 is equal to 16. Split that one up at this point. You have an x minus 2 equals 16. You have an x minus 2 equals -16. You'll have two different solutions. I'll leave you to finish that. And lastly, if I move both of these guys over to that side, I get x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0. Factor and solve, and again, I'll leave you to your own devices on that one. Thank you very much for helping me babysit my children, and have a great afternoon.